Alright, what's up, YouTubers? I wanted to show this game between Anand and Belyevsky. Uh, both of these guys are two heavyweights, and the game is a Traxler Gambit. So, usually, any Traxler Gambit is going to be an exciting game, kind of like the Benko Gambit. It's just very thematic, Gambit style chess, and exciting to watch. And e4, e5, knight f3. Belyevsky plays knight c6, bishop c4. Now, in later videos, I want to get into a repertoire for white. The purpose of these videos specifically is a repertoire for black and how to play the Traxler Gambit, not as how to play it for white. Now, the move order I'm recommending here is that white starts the Scotch move order, which I'll get into later, but bishop c4, knight f6, and two knights defense I've been using for many years on and off, and in many ways the two knights defense, strategically at least, is very similar to like a Roy Lopez Morphy's defense, in which case the bishop ends up on b3 after these pawn moves. But strategically, it's the same in the sense that white is still controlling this diagonal. Can't draw arrows. White is still controlling this diagonal, and black has the two knights out. So it makes sense to kind of suit your openings in that way. Now, knight g5 specifically is a pretty common move. Bishop c5, and you're going to get this position a lot. You're going to get this move and the knight takes, and occasionally you'll see d4, but the knight or the bishop taking on f7, this is what you're going to see when you're playing on Lichess, whatever platform you use. And you want to play king e7. This is what you play here. And e7, at least it doesn't block your back rank. The king is fairly safe on this square. After bishop d5, again, bishop b3, you're going to respond to all these bishop moves with the same move for black, and that move is d6. And it's multi-purpose in the sense that it opens up your light square bishop, which normally finds its way to g4 at some point. And that move is going to be more powerful after white castles, for the reason that since black controls this dark square diagonal and pins this pawn, the pawn can never move, and therefore bishop g4 comes with a lot of sting. And in this game, Anand played the move d3. Now d3, so we looked at c3 in the previous game. d3 here overprotects this important e-pawn, which previously was only defended by the light square bishop. And after queen e8, so you notice the pattern here. Black in these lines with the bishop takes, he responds in such a way where he goes usually d6 first and then queen e8 is the way black maneuvers here. And notice that we're always tempting white to play this knight f7 move. We're welcoming this because we can respond by moving our queen, and after you take the rook, then the bishop sacrifices itself, and we can either follow up with this or this depending on if he takes the bishop or not. And in either case, we're winning. So we know we're winning in that line. So d3, we go queen e8. That was the plan. And after Anand took with the bishop, which is a logical move, you played d3 so that you wouldn't have to defend the pawn with the bishop. And after black retakes with the pawn instead of the queen, which also makes sense because the queen being on this square would sort of be blocked off with the structure of the pawns on d3 and e4. The queen would be sort of blocked off from the action on the king side. We're trying to attack on the king side. So in this case, yeah, taking with the pawn made sense. And bishop e3 was played by Anand. Queen g6 was played by Belyevsky, which is also a good move. It x-rays this this pawn here, and if white castles, he's sort of asking for it, because we just have a barrage of pieces coming in if white ever dares castle. So knight f3. Belyevsky takes with the bishop, which makes sense because after white retakes, first of all, the king's still in the center. Second of all, this pawn may be a weakness in the future. Now, in the game, Belyevsky took with the queen, which probably wasn't the best idea because after rook g1, black lost a lot of initiative and gave Anand chances. But instead of taking with the queen, I'm proposing that Belyevsky should have played rook b8, just attacking another pawn, because you don't really want the rook to come over and the knight's already defended, the pawn's already defended. So you're not running any further material and letting the rook come over here and attack this, having to spend tempo defending this pawn. That's not exactly what you're trying to do in this opening. So rook b8, much more sensible decision that could have been made. And b3, that's a pretty normal move. Just trying not to lose that pawn. Now you can attack this weak target that was made. Now the trade makes more sense because you're gaining tempo with this move. So queen e2, holding everything together, but still sort of an awkward move to make. g5. And g5, the point of g5 is black wants to play g4. And if white castles here, you can go g4, knight d2, and now queen g5. So you're mobilizing your other pawn here. c4, c5. You're clamping down in the center, keeping the center under control, and as long as black can do that, black should be fine. So c6, preventing the knight from getting to either one of these squares. Queen f2, rook f8, knight e2, knight d7, queen g3. Moving the queen out of danger was necessary, and then knight f6. And this position is somewhat even, but this is just giving you guys from a theoretical point of view, or an opening decisions point of view, how are you going to go about it if white plays in a consistent way, like what Anand did in this game, and how to get a good position, even though your king always ends up on this awkward e7 square. As long as you can keep a clamp on the center and you can develop your pieces smoothly, you should be fine. But generally speaking, this whole line with bishop taking on f7 and then coming to d5 is probably one of the best ways that white can play this whole line with knight g5. But as long as you can remember some some general things like don't take with that queen, and the whole d6, playing d6 and maneuvering the queen to from e8 to g6, you should be absolutely fine. You should be able to keep the center under control and play an interesting game of chess. Thank you.